Nicki Jhabvala from the Washington Post. And Nicki, we just learned that Tress Way will be back. I don't think anybody really expected him to leave, but I guess it's a relief that he will be back because he's a reliable punter.
That all is true. Yes.
Are you surprised it's just a 1-year deal, or is that the point where we are with Tress and his age, et cetera?
I'm a little surprised because I feel like punters can go longer than other positions. So, yeah, it could have been his choice too. But, I mean, I was a little surprised by that. I feel like Tress is sort of a no-brainer.
Right.
He's been reliable for years, but, you know.
So over the weekend, we saw the Dante Fowler alleged tweets and deleted tweets, et cetera, and supposedly the De'Ami Brown liking whatever. I guess those guys are gone, right? Right? That's pretty much a done deal.
I kind of gave that impression, unless you're referring to something totally different. But I feel like those guys, I feel like De'Ami, he probably would have more of a market. Just the need for receivers. I mean, his speed is underrated in my opinion. But he showed a little bit more this season.
For sure.
And then of course bringing in Debo, you would think they'd add to that position still. And Dante Fowler's an interesting one. I mean, his sack total was up obviously, but he's still not that consistent pass rusher that you would normally pay big money to. So I'm kind of curious what he does ultimately land. He could always end up back here, maybe a 1 or 2. But I would think, it sounded pretty clear to me that he wanted to test the market and expected to get bigger money, which, hence the tweets.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with him.
Nicki, which of these two free agent wideouts that are currently on the roster are most likely to be back, Zaccheaus or Noah Brown? I would think Brown because he's a little bit different in that he has some size. He goes 6'2", 225. Zaccheaus on the shorter side. They already have some shorter wide receivers in Terry McLaurin and Debo. Do you think Brown resigns, or do you think he hits the market?
I could see either coming back, honestly. I know they really like Olamide. He's so reliable. And he was really good in the locker room. I mean, they were really high on him. Noah could have a bigger market just because of his size, but then again, I mean, he was waived at near the end of training camp and didn't have a team, so I could see it going either way. I think part of it depends on what their plan is at that position. Do they plan on signing another guy? Do they plan on bringing in like a Darius Slayton type? Do they plan on adding in the draft? That might dictate how they, decide on some of these guys, whether they bring them back for 1 or 2 years. We'll see.
The guy that we don't talk about enough, in my opinion, is Luke McCaffrey, because I think he's got a skill set there that jumps out at you. They just didn't utilize him a lot. He flashed it for moments. Do you have do they still like him? Do they still see a future for him? Because I feel like there's a lot of growth and potential there.
There is, totally. I think the biggest thing is he's just so raw still. I mean, he had only been playing the position for 2 years in college because he was a quarterback to start. But he's a McCaffrey, so he's born with this freakish athleticism that most people can't come close to. So he's got the speed. He's an insane worker. So I feel like he can get up to the point that probably they want, where you start to see him flash some more. I think probably his best opportunity might be special teams if he can really break off for a really long return. I think that's where you'll start to see him get more opportunities on offenses if he can really show out on special teams. But I agree with you. I think there's a ton of untapped potential there, and I think they're working with him on how to become more of a refined receiver too.
Talking to Nicki Jhabvala, covers the Commanders for the Washington Post. So let's flip to defense and what this team needs, in your opinion. They finished 13th in the league last year in total defense, but 29th in rushing defense, which is why I think Dante Fowler is not a big part of the equation, because he wasn't very good against the run. Where do you think the focus is going to be here as this free agency tampering period starts at noon?
I think it's going to be the pass rush. I mean, they do need help with the run defense, no doubt. But they need pass rushers, edge, interior. I mean, especially after losing John Allen, I would think that the focus is, at first up front. getting either a tackle or an end to really bolster that line. I mean, to me, they need help in all three levels. Just depth at linebacker. They obviously got Bobby back, pairing with Frankie, but they could use another corner. Depending on what happens with Jeremy Chin, they'll need another safety. But to me, the line is paramount. That's the most important positional group going into free agency in my mind. And there's been so much movement with the pass rushers. It'll be interesting. I'm very curious if they really do make a move on Trey Hendrickson. Last I heard, they had just sort of kicked the tires on probably what it would cost, which I would think is a lot. But they do need a pass rusher in my mind, maybe two.
Do you think they
three.
go for some of these older guys like a Khalil Mack? I see Zadarius Smith is now available. He ended up the season with the Lions.
I could see it if the price is right. Yeah, I could absolutely see it to get a marquee pass rusher on the end there. Yeah, I mean it would make a lot of sense to me. To go for one of the older ones, I don't. Even for 1 year, I don't know that makes a ton of sense. I think you're better off going in the draft since it is a deep class for ends and pass rushers in general. I know it's a little bit harder sitting at number 29, but I think you can still get a quality guy at that position. So yeah, I could see a Khalil Mack, sure, if the price is right. I think that would be a great addition to the line.
Who are some
Josh
other?
Sweat, he would be huge.
Right, I totally agree. I think Sweat would be huge, just a double whammy too, right? You take away from the Eagles anytime. As far as I'm concerned, just sign all their free agents that they intend to bring back or like to bring back. Just take them all. I mean, who cares if they fit us or not?
Right. Yeah.
I'm kind of of that mindset. Are there any others that you're keeping an eye out for that you expect to hear about? How will it work today? Remind us, we at noon, it's going to be a flurry of activity, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Although last night at 7:00, it was insane. Right. I don't know what was going on in the NFL. Everybody just decided to work at 7:00.
Yeah.
But yeah, starting at noon, it's their, stupid little legal tampering period where you can agree to deals but not sign them. And that lasts until 4 p.m. on Wednesday, at which point you can officially sign deals. All trades become official at that point. So yeah, this afternoon will be crazy.
Nicki, let's hop back to the offense for just a second. Do you see Marcus Mariota returning? He's a free agent. He performed well whenever he had to in Jaden Daniels' absence. Will there be a market
also a mentor
for him? Do you see him coming back here, or do you think he departs?
I could see him coming back. I think it depends on his market. I would think the Jets are an option. I would think a number of teams are an option for him as a backup. But if I were him and it's going to be a backup role instead of a starting role, I'd want to go somewhere where I could win. And I'm happy. And it seemed like he was happy here. He was valued here as a backup. I think he was really good for Jaden. Really good for the offense overall. I mean, he stepped in and they could win. So I could see him being back, but ultimately it comes down to money and where he wants to be.
Do you see a potential theme? Because I think we all agree that outside of Jaden, this team did remarkable last year, but they sort of need upgrades at every level outside of quarterback. They really do need to upgrade. And do you see a theme where, they're going to attack, offense via free agency and, the draft for the defense or vice versa? Will there be any theme like that? Is anything like that you anticipate?
I could see them getting a couple bigger names in free agency and then filling the rest in the draft. I mean, I really do believe, I know every coach says they want to build through a draft, or every GM says they want to build through the draft, and none of them actually do it. But the way they structured the roster last year and the way they've been trying to structure it again this year, it is really geared toward developing guys and building through the draft. So I could see them starting to add guys in the draft as depth and development, get a couple starters sort of like they did last year, and get a couple bigger names this year. I honestly don't know if he'll make big splash moves. I mean, some of these trades have kind of surprised me, but I could see Adam Peters maybe going for that second tier group of free agents, sort of like he did last year. to not sort of mortgage the future to any one guy, and really sort of trying to build through the draft. I mean, I think that's the ultimate goal, is you want to have a group that can last together for 3-4 years.
But I guess I'm asking, like, sort of offensively, defensively, is this draft better for offensive players? Is the free agent pool better for defensive players, or is it just no?
I think the free agent pool is really good if you want a 30-year-old receiver, pass rusher, because that's really all that's left. And the draft is really deep on D-line. It has some really good tight ends. So I am curious if they do add to the tight end group. I mean, I know they brought back Bates last night. They have Ertz. Ben Simmons still there, so I'm curious if they still turn to that group in the draft. Corners, there's some good corners. So I would say it probably skews more defense in the draft this year. But free agency is kind of watered down this year, to be honest with you. I mean, it's a lot of 30-plus guys, mostly receiver, defense. Maybe they add a tackle. But in my mind, it would be sort of in a reserve role unless they spend big.
Are they disappointed in Sinnott, or did Ertz just way outperform what they expected, and he just quite hasn't gotten the opportunity because Ertz was so good?
I think it's more the latter there. Yeah, I think Ertz had a good season. I think he was good for the team, just kind of where they were, just in this transition mode. He was great for Jaden. So yeah, I think it's partly due to Ertz. I think it's partly due to they want to develop Ben Sinnott more, and he's got to get more opportunities. Maybe he can get more touchdowns, based on Travis Kelce plays or Taylor Swift plays. Isn't that what they called the play that he had that one touchdown?
I think that's right.
I think so. You're right.
Nicki, you've reached the pop quiz portion of your interview. I need you to.
Boy.
Nobody likes that.
I need you to fill in the blank here.
Nobody likes quizzes, Cakes.
I know, but I think she's up to the task.
All right.
Adam Peters blanks Brian Robinson Jr. Your options are loves, likes, tolerates / stuck with.
I don't like this quiz. Can I get a different question? No, I think I have not heard this from Adam Peters directly. I would say likes. I mean, I think
likes ish.
Likes adjacent, likes close.
Likes.
Okay, so squarely in the middle.
We're going squarely in the middle.
They're kind of stuck there, right?
The game runs hard, but you got to get more production out of that.
They're kind of stuck at the running back room in a sense, right? I mean,
but they got Debo now, so he's sort of hybrid,
right? Like he'll help, but like. What is it? What about the idea that, hey man, bolster the offensive line and you're going to get not only better production from Jaden, but you're going to get better production from your running backs. I certainly didn't see a ton of holes that Brian Robinson was missing. I don't want to be a Brian Robinson defender, but I mean,
I will never understand why more GMs don't put more resources into the offensive line. I know it's not a sexy position,
right?
But the best teams have the best offensive lines,
right?
Period.
Right, so that should be a focus. You don't anticipate that it will?
Well, I just don't know that in free agency. I mean, most of the top tackles are gone already.
Yep.
You look at what Coleman did. Like, we're all just thrilled that he played so much. But listen, I think we all have our own opinions on PFF rankings, but there's some metric that you can take with whatever. And he gave up a bunch of sacks. Was ranked fairly low in pass protection and fairly low in run blocking.
Right.
So
I always wonder if he would be better suited as a guard. But
moving the guard.
You need a tackle.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think you would get better production from Jaden and from your running back room. Because I don't think they're terrible. Yeah.
Well, they're probably going to sign some big uglies that you just have never heard of.
Well,
it's not a flashy name.
But we all feel like we need to find the next Saquon. Those are hard to find.
I mean, they've got three or four
hard to find,
offensive
line. I get you. Yeah.
They've got 3 or 4 of their own that they may bring back or may not. Too. Yeah. I mean, what would your vibe be? I think Trent Scott's available. Cornelius Lucas.
I think they need
to bring those guys back.
They need
pretty much most of the reserves. I mean, Dieter, I don't know if he comes back.
No, we don't need him.
Benched for Yeah, a guard. I don't. They need upgrades there, no doubt. It's just, I could see them turning to the draft again. I think you have to at that position. It's a good draft for the trenches, but getting a marquee tackle, sure, like Cam Robinson, is he still available? He's really the only one under 30 that I saw that's still on the list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of Ronnie Staley's back with Baltimore. Like, all these guys have been signed already with their own teams. So, I would love to see him spend on a tackle. I know that's like such a boring position to like spend big on free agency, but it's such an important group that I really don't know why teams don't invest more.
All right, last issue for you here, or proposition for you. One bold free agency prediction. One bold prediction for today.
One bold prediction for today. Oh.
You have one that you anticipate the Commanders
putting her on the spot with the pop quiz. Now this.
Oh my God!
She might never appear on the show again.
Easy.
Yeah, I don't know. Give us something to look forward to today around noon to 3 p.m.
A bold prediction. Okay, they trade for Trey Hendrickson. I don't know if that's true, but that's my bold prediction.
I like it, Kate.
That's sexy. That's a big one.
That gets the blood flowing.
Okay,
that gets the blood flowing.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks for the time.
Hey, I like that one.
Nicki Jhabvala covers the Commanders for the Washington Post. That's one I don't see.
If you make
I'd be
that trade,
stunned.
then you're adding 17 sacks to your total. That's the way I look at that.
How much is he going to make?
I don't know.
All these,
guys,
he's going to make $35 million plus,
easily.
right?
Some guys are worth it, maybe.
Yeah, but
can't you structure the money? It's so bizarre. If you look at Josh Allen's making $55 million, right? I don't know what Dak's making, but I don't think it's quite that much, or his average per year or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, he's only like 17% of the salary cap, and Dak is like 23%. The way they structure the money.
Well, it just shows you the Bills are better run than the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, but it's not just the Cowboys. There's he's like 12th,
right,
in terms of percentage of his salary going towards the salary cap,
right?
The team distribution. You understand what I'm saying? Sure. I might not be articulating that well.
So I was just looking. One of the guys I missed that they re-signed for very low price was Chris Rodriguez Jr. So he's back. So there's your running back, Cakes.
I mean, he's a thumper down near the goal line. Like and
that's a Rivera guy. Cakes love together. Get rid of all the Rivera guys.
Well, they've got rid of most of them.
Yeah, the ones that really suck.
John Bates survived somehow. He got a 3-year extension. Good for him.
800-636-1067. You want to chime in? We're getting you geared up for NFL free agency. Kicks off at 12 o'clock. The Commanders do bring back Tress Way. Over the weekend, of course, Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz. I just mentioned Chris Rodriguez. John Bates gets a 3-year deal. He's, of course, primarily a blocking tight end. So we will keep you up to date on all that is happening with the Commanders and NFL free agency here on the Junkies.